Is it is it working now? Let's find out. There is only one way. Okay, so seems like audio is working. So let's start. Let me bring the music. So yeah, uh, it's been 2 weeks, and I know that on our last stream I mentioned that I'm planning to release current state, but not yet. I actually didn't upload anything to the prod. I was like testing and looking for things here and there, and I found something interesting that probably still requires some polish. Uh, it's completely unrelated with migration to character controller, the thing that we did for a while. It's something new, but it's quite important, and let me share what I found. Uh, well, first of all, I updated dependencies, some of them, because they were pending for a while. That's fine. And important addition, I added debug mode for player class. So let's take a look what it enables. First of all, and it's actually the only thing for now, if we enable debug mode, it binds to mouse button 4 line target function, and let's inspect it. So what it does, I refactored here a little bit, so let's go step by step. Well, practically it draws the forward tray, but it keeps it in place, because if we will draw forward tray continuously, like live, then it's really hard to absorb. Instead, what I do when I cast line target, it draws the line in the place of the forward ray from camera, but it leaves it there, so I can walk around and look how the ray was fired. And also, if this ray is picked something, I draw debug data, so mesh name and exact point, distance to the hit, and the distance to the mesh origin. So practically, yeah, to the mesh absolute position to its registration point. So two distances, distance to intersection and distance to the mesh origin. And also, if this mesh happened to have destructible objects inside, I print it as well. Let me walk you through what I changed. So this function is a key, get front ray params. So how does it do? So one also important function is get camera absolute position. So for now the problem is that our camera, it doesn't have its own absolute get absolute position parameter. So how I compute it, I get position of player and add a camera position on top of that, because here it's like relative camera position. If you remember, let me check. Yeah, player camera position, yeah, it's this one. So this is how we compute. We add player position and relative camera position to get absolute position. So this is how we get exactly camera position, because we want to fire array from camera, not from mesh origin, but from camera, because it makes sense for user experience, because we look to the world through eyes, and we want to see where we are looking at and if we intersect anything with our playing side. So yeah, we get direction from camera, and we're interested in forward direction of the camera. We get it absolute position, and for new origin, so here is something interesting going on. We know camera position, we know direction, and we need to start our array cast, but we don't want to start it from camera position. We want to start it outside of our bounding box. So let me explain what's going on here. I think music is too loud for myself. Okay, so to camera position, we add direction vector, but we scale it for the diameter of our bounding area of our mesh, of the player mesh, plus extra gap after that, +1. So practically what we're trying to get here, we're trying to get direction vector and scale it to our radius plus safety gap and add to camera position. So this is how we can get a point that lies on our line of sight but outside of the mesh. So yeah, and we return this package, which is like array origin, front array origin and direction. So it can be reused. It's reused here. For example, when we do line target, we get those parameters, then we find the point where it ends the array, because our array is not infinite, it has fixed distance which is reasonable, and we just like draw a line between these two dots in debug mode. And also, since I introduced this, let's take a look how our cast forward tray function changed, because before we casted it from the mesh origin, not from camera, not from our eye view. We casted it from mesh origin, and that led to some problem. And now instead we utilize this function, which has like correct origin in the line of our side and direction, and yeah, pretty much this is how we can set parameters for our array and cast it. So the main change here is to ensure that our forward tray goes straight from camera and not from the straight from the center of the mesh. And here is debugging function, and let me show how it works when debug mode is on. If I click mouse 4, we shoot array. You don't see it so far, but if you go like this, you can see it goes from our eyes. And if we intersect something, you can see the details in the console here. So a name, hit point, and distance to the hit, and distance to the mesh origin. And let me check it. Yeah, so it's distance between the camera and absolute position of the mesh that we picked. Let's try something with destructible object in it. Well, easiest example is to try to get our cat demon. I missed. Okay, here you can see when it's pierced by the ray, we can see also destructible object. that will help us to debug a lot. And you probably asking me, like, why, what for, all of that, what we're going to debug. We had a problem that I discovered. The problem was that we start to see tooltip earlier that we can actually activate an action. So, and it's kind of confusing. We see already like press E, but we cannot activate. So practically I was trying to synchronize the distance when a suggestion appears, where tooltip appears, and synchronize with distance where we can actually dispatch an action. And this led me to the thought that we can like change and fix where we are firing forward ray from. And let's go to switch manager. This is where we are executing our action. So before we were measuring distance from actor position. Instead of that, right now I measure distance not from actor position, not from its registration point, but from its so-called action source. So what is an action source? It's pretty much camera absolute position, so from camera. And this made me think that we should probably go here even like this. Okay, so, and now we also fixed our tooltips. So how it works now, we trying to access our forward ray and check if there is mesh on the line, and then we see if we can find mesh, we compute the distance between action source and absolute position of the mesh, and if distance is okay, if it's less than tooltip distance, we show a tooltip. So I also tweaked the distance itself for tooltip 7 and for switch manager also 7. You may think like, hey, if those things should be equal, why not to have single source of truth? And yeah, but at the same time I still kind of thinking and want to have some flexibility. Maybe like we want to show tooltip only when we're like really close, but it's okay to execute action from further distance. So those two distances are completely different in the nature, despite that they are equal to the same value. So I decided really to keep it separated, to have opportunity to debug it independently. So yeah, that's the thing. And another interesting question that you might be asking, why I am measuring distance from camera but to the mesh absolute position and not to the intersection point, so not to, let's say, this thing. Well, that's a good question, and it might be useful because, for example, let's say we have a huge door and we still might be close enough to the door, but very far from its center, from its origin, and it may appear that we are not able to activate it until we move close to the center, right? in this case, maybe we want to measure distance to the intersection point and not to the mesh center. I was thinking about that, but I decided to keep distance to the mesh center because, let's be honest, objects that we reasonably can interact with should be reasonably small. Some buttons, like tumblers, some door knobs, right? Those things are kind of small, and from like code perspective, from like maintainability and like debugging perspective, I think that mesh center is essentially easier to handle. We cannot do that for camera because we're looking from it. That's why it's important to cast ray from camera and not from mesh center. But for the target objects, because interactive objects should be small enough, I think it's okay to measure distance to the registration point and not to the intersection. I think it's reasonable and good enough. That's why I did it that way. And yet, everything seems working. We can just practice. Okay, let me show some demo. So here I shoot into the ground. That's why I don't see tooltip. But when I can hit the mesh, and if I'm close enough, yeah, I can see the tooltip. So no tooltip, here is tooltip because now I see. Okay, here also, like, okay, it's just too far. Yeah, so see tooltip, go lower, don't see. Here's here again. Yeah, so we show tooltip when we looking exactly at the object, and we can execute action actually when the object is in the plane. Actually don't need to look like super precisely to execute action. From UX, I think it's kind of reasonable, it's realistic, right? If the object within the reach, we should be able to pick it up, right? And if we're looking at that, and if we're close enough, we can grab it even if we don't look like directly at it. But for tooltips, for some suggestion, for some additional information, I think we really want to look exactly to the object to see those. That all sounds cool, but you probably notice one problem already. If I look forward, yeah, I cannot see ray, but it appears. And this is normal situation, you should not see it because it goes straight from your eyes and it's like infinitely thin. You cannot see it until you go back to see it. But it's not the case when we look down and when we look up. So, and you can probably see when we look like that, it fires not like straight from our eyes, but from somewhere like lower and behind. Yeah, there is one more problem. Well, let me explain. It's actually this thing, how we compute camera absolute position. And this is essentially wrong because we look our like camera position here. It's 0, 1, 75, 0, which means that if we just add it like that, the camera will always appear above the center of character. And this is true when we standing still, like fully straight, and this works, we don't see the ray really. But if we bend, our camera actually like moves a little bit forward. But we compute it wrong because it's like showed above where our camera actually is. Right now, if we bend, we fire this ray at some point, which is above the character origin, but not like aligned with the camera. It's somehow fires like from our back because we lean forward. So to fix that, we actually need to include like, you know, mesh rotation. And here we can run some experiment, like say we do like this. It's going third person perspective. Well, right now it will be messed up because I'm still firing from camera, but I moved it back. But what I'm trying to say, you see, when we moving like this, we are like rotating the whole like object, which actually kind of silly, and I want to address this thing first. I mean, yeah, it's very easy to control to rotate like that, but I realize that it's not what we really want. We don't want to rotate the mesh like this. We want to rotate only the camera. This kind of controls, yeah, it's easy to do because we just track mouse movements and rotate the whole thing, but that's not necessarily the right thing. We want our mesh to stand still, we're just rotating only our eyesight, so I probably need to like rewrite it, but that's not okay. And after I do that, I can fix this computation, and ideally actually I want player camera to have native get absolute position, so I don't need this like intermediate function. So I probably will ask on the forum to implement native get absolute position for camera, as well as we have for meshes. I think there is like no valid reason not to have that. Yeah, so I think there are still things to do before we can call it a day and actually like release. I want those things to be fixed, and which means that push to prod will be done not yet, because I really want to approach this like responsibly, you know, and push something that can dwell in prod for quite long. But still, what we did, I think it's like solid proof of concept. We added useful debugging tool, and you see what the problem is, what we're trying to solve, and you see how many things actually relies on it. It's like tooltips, it's actually action executions, and like later some aiming procedures. We really need to go through it and you know, keep it mathematically correct, even if it's like at first sight it doesn't affect gameplay much. But for now I think it's okay. This bug, this oversight existed like in the code for long ago, and it's okay if we will approach it incrementally, and still there's good progress. I actually want to commit this one and have it like done. It works at certain degree. So let's do it. Okay, I will accept this for now. And yeah, in the meantime, I will probably fix the things that I just mentioned. And also there is a problem, and I think it's actually heavily related with what I show. So if I fix that, I fix everything related. And this is what I will keep for the future. The only thing I didn't mean to commit the debug mode. I really don't want to do this. Let me fix that. Actually, you know, screw this. Yeah, I can like revert, commit and stuff, but why? Because soon I will do like healthy one. That's okay. I don't care. Yeah, we'll continue with that next time, and once everything is done, we'll finally push to the prod. I think those final touches really need to be addressed. All right. So we're done with this. I don't know if I really will have a chance to look at it and fix before next Sunday, but I think we will meet next Sunday regardless. I expect to be much more busy from now on because looks like I got a job, and this one is a really good one, so I really need to show my best there, so that's why I expect to be busy. But so far I think it will not affect our streams, so yeah, we continue with our regular schedule. The only thing is that next weekend the clock is going to be adjusted, so which means that you will see me at a bit different time. Let me figure out which okay, it's summertime, we move time forward, right? We like adding an hour, if I understand. You know, like adding an hour. So if I start like 10:30, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out all the time zones. So we start usually like when it's 10:30 here. But if we moved it forward, it means that 10:30 like starts earlier. So I guess, yeah, it will be like 1 hour earlier. If there is no time zone change in your area, yeah, I think it will be 1 hour earlier next Sunday. This is when we're going to see each other. Yeah, all right. The path is clear of what we're going to do and change and fix. And yeah, as I said, once we're done with, I finally push it to the demo. yeah, still I'm quite happy with the progress. That's important thing. And I revealed some like fundamental flaws, but it all can be fixed. All right, thank you for watching. Uh, Happy upcoming week. See you.